from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
Tonight's episode of Conversations with Coach La is brought to you by Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. Do you need to delegate some tasks, or are you looking to declutter a space? Well, assign it to her. Introducing Virtual Services by Shamina Austin. She's currently accepting new clients and offers a variety of back office services depending on your needs. Contact Shamina at 857-273-1528, 857-273-1528, or email shaminaaustin@gmail.com for more information.
Conversations with Coach La. Coach La, your favorite neighborhood therapist, having real hard convos, contrasting pessimists. Generational trauma explored, broach delicate, getting to the root of the pain, healing impediments. Every week signs copay free lessons. Bet on self, trust the process, no questions. Feel your feels, journey to be healed, no stressing. Conversations with Coach La's now in session.
What's going on, beautiful people? I am excited. Check this out. We are back live and in full effect. Conversations with Coach La. I've been gone, y'all. It's been a minute, but I'm excited to be back. I took a little break. Yes, I needed to practice some self-care, and yeah, it's been a busy month, but it's March. And what better way to kick things off, right, in Women's History Month as we get ready to close out the month is that I am back with season 7. Can y'all believe that it is season 7? So what do we have in store? So I am doing a series. So this particular series, what we're going to be doing is unpacking the past, healing from within. And the whole idea behind this is tonight's episode is the weight we carry, breaking generational cycles. I know it's a deep topic, but it's right on time when you think about it being Women's History Month and all that we as women carry in terms of being nurturers and matriarchs of our family. Often we carry a lot of that stuff. So we're going to unpack some things. We're going to be diving really deep into the theme of generational cycles, how they shape us, how they weigh us down, and how we can break free and build a future that's rooted in healing and in growth. So tonight I have a special guest, and I am so excited about this lady. Let me tell you why I'm excited about Miss Contessa. So you know how you fangirling and you're watching somebody from afar, and we've been trying to connect for a while, but we're both psychotherapists. So, you know, we are prioritizing our businesses, our clients, and most importantly, our self-care. So I hadn't got a chance to really get with her the way I wanted to get with her. And then I thought about who I wanted the season opener to be, because this is the premiere. And she's all about breaking generational cycles, and she's all about healing. She is a Newport, Rhode Island native. She's thriving out of Providence. She's a spoken word artist, so we share that in common with being a spoken word and doing poetry, which I think that also really brought us together. She's a motivational speaker, a life coach, and she is dedicated to helping individuals reclaim confidence. Y'all know I'm big on the confidence, heal, and live authentically. And I really believe that's what most of us really want. We want peace. We want to be able to be our full and complete selves, no matter what environment or space we find ourselves in. And that's what tonight's conversation is really all about. So I hope you guys will enjoy it. I'm going to bring Miss Contessa on to the live with me so we can hear more from her in terms of her background and what she does. I forgot to tell you, she's also the founder of the Café S.O.U.L and Queen's Closet. Now, why is that? Queen's Closet stood out to me because she provides clothing to domestic violence survivors. And y'all know that I have a history of that, and I'm a survivor myself. So that also really connected us as well. And of course, the sister got 2 master's degrees. So once again, we connected. We got a lot in common. I feel like that Bobby Brown and Whitney song, we got something in common. So Miss Contessa, I hope you're ready to come on stage, my beautiful queen. Come on in. How you doing?
Excellent, excellent. Good evening. Thank you so much, Coach La, for having me on. And yes, we definitely are kindred soul sisters.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, right? As I was reading over your bio, right, I said to myself, I said, we really are therapist sisters, if that's the thing, right? We are
Yes.
therapist sisters. I mean, from the poetry, from
Mhm.
the entrepreneurial spirit, the energy, the style, like you're always just, yeah, I love all the energy you bring, my sister, all of it.
Thank you.
So welcome to Conversations with Coach Lai, and welcome to the virtual couch. Now, you
Yes.
have done a really, really good job of just being a passionate leader in your community, right? And an
Mhm.
advocate. But I
Yes.
want to know, who is Contessa Brown from your perspective? What is not in the bio? What would surprise people about your story and your narrative that no one knows?
Yes. Whew.
I know, girl.
Who is
I'm coming out the
you went deep out the gate, coming out hot. All right.
yes, yes.
But yes, oftentimes I truly think sometimes we, including myself, tend to forget what we have come through. And because we're so used to surviving, we don't realize what we stepped out of, right? So originally, I was a Navy brat. Most people don't know I was a Navy brat, but I was a Navy brat and raised, of course, with my beautiful mom and her ex-husband up until the age 12, and experienced that life experience of parents being divorced. So that was like a first thing that really shifted my identity. Then there were other things that unfolded that yielded me to be emancipated at the age of 17. And what I realized is that was a choice. I didn't have to stay in my circumstance. Instead, I chose to rise above that and went to school because I was interested in people. I always loved people. I used to be at the bus stop, me and my one friend, and we just like people watch, and that's just who we always were. Like we would just like to like watch what's going on and then listen. And that's who I've always been. I've always been the mediator. I've always been the person that was able to hold on to sacred secrets because that was what was told, right? So it was always woven for me to be that safe space. And so I just continued on with that passion, being a compassionate person. And therapy, that came a little bit later, honestly, being a therapist, because honestly, when I started Cafe Soul 15 years ago, it was out of because I was at a church. It was very dogmatic, hence my book, The Inconvenient Church, Inconvenient Truth of Church Hurt. But I gave up clubbing cold turkey, like everything. But I was like, God, what am I supposed to do? Then he gave me the vision of Cafe Soul, and it was originally a singles ministry, but I had to take it out the four walls of the church to bring to the community, and which it became more than just an open mic. It became a healing ground. And so that's when I got into the whole point of wanting to do therapy, like with expressive arts. So here we are, like I'm trying to I'm fast forwarding a bit, but who I am is a compassionate person that just yields forth the fruit of just continuing to step forward, regardless of what mud was underneath my boots, what mud was under my heels, what mud was under my bare feet. I still continue to step forward no matter what it was. And I just want to be able to share that strength and highlight that strength in the other people that I work with.
You know, most therapists have a story, right?
Mhm.
Most people who are healers, caregivers have a story. Now, I mentioned earlier that you have Queen's Closet, which you
Mhm.
dedicate to domestic violence survivors. Why Queen's Closet and why domestic violence survivors?
Absolutely. So I have witnessed family members as well as friends go through domestic violence, and just seeing how that can break down their soul, that very experience, right? Because minds are stolen, identities are stolen and broken down, and I wanted to create something that could help build the queen within them and not forget who they are. And so by adorning women with clothing that makes them feel like a queen so they can know their worth. There's something about putting on a new outfit, right?
You
It
talk
just
about it.
does something to you. New hair, new nails, looks like I got my toes done right. It's just something about that because it's a part of the femininity, our feminine energy, and being able to exude the beauty that's already within
Mm-hmm.
on the outside. So I became passionate because I had seen what it had done to my friends and family members that had experienced domestic violence, and I just wanted to see how I could spark that light back within them.
You know, thank you for saying that. And I think one of the things that when I was going through that time in my life, shout out to Angie Dickinson. She is the founder of Boston Rhythm Riders. She sent me a picture of me back when my son was probably 2, and I was in the midst of being in a very unhealthy relationship, and I look 10 times older than I look right now.
Mm.
And there is something about getting around women who feed your spirit and help you get your feminine energy back, get your swag back, get your
Yes.
it's funny enough, it was through fashion. I remember my sister, I actually just cried with her about this. I said, thank you. You know, I recently got an award at
Mhm.
Grace by Nia, and there was a picture of me and my sister, and you know, a couple people put underneath there how stylish I was. I said, baby, thank God I don't look like what I've been through.
Amen. And
So
congratulations.
listen, thank you. A good outfit and get your hair done, your nails done. It really does help you lift your spirit. And I think, of
Mhm.
course, in conjunction with therapy and spiritual healing, but looking good on the outside and being able to look in the mirror and see that you look good does help you a whole lot. So tonight we are talking about what? Breaking generational cycles, patterns and beliefs, and the traumas that we can literally pass down
Mhm.
generationally, right? And I don't think often we think about why we show up in spaces the way we do,
Mhm.
why certain things trigger us the way that we do,
Mhm.
and where that came from, right?
Mhm.
Like uh my mom was really anxious about a lot of things for various reasons, which lo and behold, I was anxious about a lot of things. And I stopped that by exposing my son to things that my mother was scared of. Even though I was scared of it, I didn't pass that on. So that's when I became my own cycle breaker in terms of my parenting. But when you think about your own upbringing and your own background, what what generational cycles did you recognize in your own life? Mine is
Absolutely.
anxiety, fear.
Yes.
Like fear um was definitely something that I think was embedded, like traveling by myself, simple
Mm.
things like swimming, animals, like a lot. It was very much fear.
Yes. Yes, I can definitely relate in different types of fear when it comes to one of them being finances, talking about finances. I don't know what it is and the black folk like families, like
Don't ask nobody about their money, baby.
because then, like, snappity snap, snap, snap. And one thing about that is learning how to be comfortable to have those uncomfortable talks. And I feel like even as an adult, that's when I had to start really being comfortable with breaking those generational curses, if you will, and having those conversations either with my mom directly or with people I was dating. Sometimes it wasn't always easy to talk about money with the people you were dating. If you're in a healing relationship, finances definitely can become easier to talk about. But it had to come to a point where I had to get comfortable with money and finances and
Mhm.
changing my mindset around money and finances and what that does look like. And so once I was able to kind of shift my relationship, if you will, with money and mindset of how money can come and go is of a flow of it, then I felt more comfortable being able to talk about finances.
What do
I
you
was,
think? What do you
yes.
think that the messaging was that you think
Mm.
was passed down generationally about money? 'Cause,
It's
like, money is the root of all evils is one that kinda comes up for me, like, you know, it was a bad thing, not a resource or a tool, but f what about you?
I've witnessed family members that were very stingy, um, and just would not share. I was never that type of person. Like I grew up, you know, you share, but I saw it as a means of manipulating and a way to punish even.
Mhm,
Sometimes it could be the stonewalling, like after you have a rough conversation about money, then it's this awkward silence, like, ooh, and you can just feel it. Nothing even has to be said after. It's just that that piercing silence.
mm,
And you just know that it was like, okay, this is not something really to bring up. So things like that, like witnessing how money could be used as a means of like, oh well, I got it and you don't,
mm,
and weaponizing it, or if you talk about it, it's like, oof, it just brings a real uncomfortability in the space.
mhm. Yeah, I can see those things. What about that adage of, you know, giving someone your last dollar? So I have some clients that will give family in particularly their rent money, and they needed it, and they don't know how to say no when it comes to money for similar reasons, that they don't want to be seen as selfish or stingy, so
Mm.
they don't have good money management. Well, the other one I remember is keeping up with the Joneses, right? So um, constantly measuring arms with other people and wanting to outdo the next person, and showcasing what you have. That was a way of, at least I think more in the Black community, of
Mhm,
your worth, right? So often
mhm.
it was in materialistic things versus saving and investing and
Mm.
making sure your bills was paid.
Come
But
on.
if you look good on the outside, be in the house with your lights off, kind of deal. When you think about learning those behaviors,
Mm.
and seeing other people do it.
Yes. I have witnessed people do it. I've witnessed friends and families that stayed within systems um
Talk about
because of
systems.
that.
Talk about that.
Systems like
Mhm,
relying specifically on like social security and not wanting to, like literally not wanting to work when they do have the means to work. Like I've witnessed this, like
mhm.
they don't want to do it. It's not because they have a true disability or things that inhibit them to work. They actually just wanted to just live off the system, and that is a learned behavior because you've seen other generations and other
Yep.
generations in the hood do it. And so I have witnessed that, and I still am able to witness that in certain
Do you think that's
different
fear?
places.
I think that comes from a fear, right? A
It
fear, a fear. Like, I recall when I did have a subsidized apartment, the idea of going into home ownership in some
mm,
cases was like, you don't let your subsidized apartment go. Like, there's no safety net in that, right? Like, a
right.
lot of it is grounded in fear.
Yes. And that can be instilled because of not being able to see other people be successful in the home ownership or other arenas like that.
Right.
So that is that instilled fear because of the surroundings. And also sometimes it just makes it nice and comfortable and cushy, as
Mm,
comfortable and cushy, and settling ways. And I'm not trying to downput anybody, like, by any means, because I get it. When you got to take advantage of the benefits, take advantage of the benefits because you paid into them, and as well, right?
mhm.
But I have witnessed the other spectrum where people just do not, they choose not to want to do better because of the comfortability, but also there is root in fear as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, just taking a step back for all those that are just tuned in, you're listening to Conversations with Coach La. Yes, 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 I am back, baby. I am back for season 7, and we tonight are jumping into the weight we carry and just what that looks like in terms of breaking generational cycles. And when we talk about generational cycles, just because I know we can all have different labels and definitions for it, but for tonight's conversation, we're talking about behaviors, beliefs, and traumas and coping mechanisms that are passed down within families, often often unconsciously, right? Like most of us will just say, "Oh, well, that's how I was raised," or even the other one, "Well, who raised you when you don't have people think you're uncouth or whatever. They'd be like, "Who raised you? Didn't you didn't you learn this?" So we put a lot of value in how
Mm-hmm.
people show up and what people do, what people
Mm-hmm.
think. But we want you to know that you don't have to stay there,
Yes.
right? You get a chance to really decide
Mm-hmm.
what works for you, what
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. It's the beauty of becoming an adult,
Yeah.
right? That you now get out in the world and you're able to try these things on like a jacket and see, does it really fit you? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to keep that jacket on,
Mm.
hold on to it if it doesn't fit. And I think sometimes we think because it was we a learned behavior, our parents did it, we were taught that way that in some ways I think we feel like we're being disrespectful,
Mm.
or we can become the black sheep. We can become oh, you think you're better than us now because you didn't
Mm-hmm.
went over there and got some education, or you didn't went and experience different things in life, so you're looking down on us now because you're coming back with this new wisdom and you're trying to tell your family about why certain things are dysfunctional or unhealthy. So it's often hard to be that person that comes back into a family system and says, no, this isn't okay. We can be better, or we can do better. And that can make you feel like an outsider. Have you
Mm.
experienced that?
Ugh. I feel like as soon as I came back, see, like I said, I was a Navy brat, so I was raised in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, Key West, Florida, and New Jersey. Different parts like Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And when I came back at the age of like 12, going on 13, I already felt like a black sheep. I
Mm,
already had felt like a black sheep, from various like family members. And so that was just from then. That wasn't even me be able to explore who I am, who I'm meant to be, going into higher education, etc. It started at a very young age. And I think because I also had a different perspective of different black people. When I came to Rhode Island, it was just different because I was used to Southern hospitality. I'm like, the black people here are different. And that includes
mm,
my family. Like,
right.
I was like, oh, okay. So I already knew I was being treated different because I already had a different perspective from living a Navy life and now coming back to a civilian life. Um, and so that started then. When I did go for higher education, I feel like I was supported by some family members and some other family members not. I think I had my cousin Nikisha. I know Sissy. Well, she's my sissy. Her and my mom were the only ones at my graduation, for high school and undergrad from my family.
Hmm.
So from then I already felt even more ostracized or even more not as supported. And unfortunately, like I think, well, I didn't get to mention, but I emancipated myself at the age of 17.
You mentioned that.
Um,
I'm glad you went back to that, because that was something to walk away from and or emancipate yourself is a big deal.
mhm, mhm.
It's almost like divorcing
Exactly.
your family in a lot of ways,
Exactly. Exactly. So having to learn that at the age of 17 then forced me to be very hyper independent. So then that created a whole different coping mechanism. And so I got used to that ostracization and being okay with moving forward by minimal people by my side.
Mm,
And so that kind of plays into different parts as well, in my development, if you will. But from a very young age, I felt the ostracization for
yeah.
sure.
So it sounds like a lot of your generational cycles had to do with abandonment.
Hmm.
Right. Do you think it's because people were uncomfortable? You think it was a jealousy thing? What do you think was playing out in your family system that made them not support you?
I
Thinking about
think
it clinically, since we're both psychotherapists, what do
I
you
know
think?
psychotherapists. Let's psychoanalyze the situation. This
Psychoanalysis
this
situation.
case study, right? Um, I think there was already division there before I got there, and I just inherited it. There was already a divide between siblings. So it wasn't already. I was walking into that, so it
Mhm.
wasn't even my division really to own or carry. It just came a part of it.
So you
And
were a blended family?
no, it wasn't a blended family. Well, hold on, wait. My mom and her ex husband, he wasn't my real father. But he didn't have any other kids like outside of us, so it wasn't a blended family. It was just that he wasn't my father.
But he wasn't your
um,
biological father.
wasn't my
So how long
biological
was he
father.
in your life?
Till I was 13.
But when did he start being in your life? Like, how long was you
Being,
married to your mom?
I feel like I've known him. I had known him forever. It was probably I had to be when they was married, because I was upset. I wanted to get married too. I was crying at the wedding because I want to get married. I had to be like 3, so I
Okay.
had to be
So that's
maybe,
like 10 years. That's a pretty long time to be
yeah,
younger.
yeah,
So he was your dad. You
yeah,
mentioning that was your father.
yeah.
He was a father figure in your life. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
And so, um, dealing with that, right, and then coming back and not seeing what a family, because he was Puerto Rican, right? So from Puerto Rican, like, Puerto Rican family is family. So I was, raised around his family and saw what family was like. Oh my God, we get together, we have all these different holidays together, or we just come and just visit family, right? I'm like, oh my God. And then when we come back home, it's like, well, this is totally different. We are not connected at all on my
So do
mom's
you
side.
think so your mom is African American and your
Yes,
stepfather
African American.
was Puerto Rican.
Mhm.
So when you say it was family on his side, is that while you were while you were being an army brat, or that's when you came back?
Mhm. Mhm. While I was in an army brat, I got to experience what a family unit was like and having supportive family during Navy brat times. And then after, I saw a totally different opposite side of what that was like.
Do you think ethnicity and race played into that when you guys came back?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and that's why I said it was different for me. When I said it's different when I had seen, I was like, oh, black folk appear a little bit different, right? Because I didn't see as much unity, even when I was like in different parts of like Florida and New Jersey. It was just very different. And so beyond the families division, I got to see division in amongst other like family units. I was like, oh, so you're just picking up on all this stuff as you're growing up. It's like, oh, this is what's normal. This is what's normal for Black America.
Mm,
It was an eye opener.
wow. So in terms of his family, though, you felt accepted as an African American person, black person.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. And
that's interesting.
still
That
to this day.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think the narrative often is that that doesn't happen in other cultures where we don't blend in, and often we
Mm,
find a lot of separatism amongst each other, colorism amongst each other, and not
mm,
necessarily when we transition into other cultures. I've
mhm,
heard that before. I don't
mhm.
have a lot of experience with that, but I've heard my clients also communicate and express feeling connected and belonging in other spaces, and
Yes.
sometimes very much not connected in spaces where people look like them, which is not something we talk about a lot,
Ooh. Oh.
right?
Oh.
Because we just immediately think if a person is Black and they look like you, that you're gonna feel connected. And that's not always the case. A lot of
Mm-mm.
people have felt that that wasn't always. And I think that comes from a trauma response. I think that comes from a place of scarcity, right? So we can only
Mm.
have so many of us in a space. And if you come now, you're threatening my positioning.
Oh, okay. Now you're taking it to corporate America.
But I think that happens also in other spaces. I think
Yeah.
in academia too. I don't think it's just
Yes.
in corporate spaces. I
Mm-hmm.
think
That is
it's
so
in group
true.
settings too. Like oftentimes, it's like we are not thinking from a place of abundance, that there's enough space for all of us to shine.
Ooh, gatekeeping.
Mhm.
Mm,
Yes.
mm,
So that brings me
mm.
to just thinking about what are some of the dysfunctional family patterns, because the interesting thing is, if when you analyze the family patterns, you'll sort of see how you show up in spaces, other places too, or why you're triggered, or why your lens will sort of make you sort of feel uncomfortable because of some of the
Mhm,
things that have happened. So
mhm,
one of the big ones is, of course, unresolved trauma.
mm, mm.
And I learned that the the other individual gets the opportunity to tell you whether or not it's traumatic or not. What do you think about that statement? Like, I'm not supposed to tell you that that was traumatic. You have to tell me. But I feel
You
like if you lack self-awareness, sometimes what you think is normal,
right. Totally
everybody else is
mistakes.
like, "Oh, no, you was going through that was trauma."
Right, exactly. And so this is the ironic thing, right? So and these like courses that we have to take for, mental health therapists, and it really reveals a lot of things. And I'm like, oh, so you mean what I went through was trauma? I was like, oh, I thought I was surviving. I thought that was life, right? And so I've gone back and forth with that too, with like lived experiences. And to me, I feel like if the trauma is not if I feel like okay, I feel like it's not trauma if it's not impacting your behaviors, like either currently or going forward. But if it is, then yes, it's a trauma because something's getting triggered, something's being reminded, something's making you fall back into coping mechanisms, etc.
Mhm.
But if it's not, like we can't always label it as trauma.
Right. So the key in this, for all you beautiful listeners, is when trauma is not processed. That's the key, right?
Hmm.
So when you've processed your trauma, you often can still show up, know your triggers, and be emotionally regulated. But when it's not processed, you don't even really know why you're crying, why you're uncomfortable, why
Mm.
you're isolating, why somebody makes you feel uneasy.
Hmm.
You're emotional,
Somatic.
emotionally avoidant. You are hyper vigilant, and also you have unhealthy coping strategies.
Hmm.
So these are some of your signs that you could potentially have
Hmm.
unresolved trauma. And of course, this is not, again, a one size fits all. So I
Right.
always tell people to look at my show as food for thought. It's just things
Yes.
to sort of make you go, hmm.
Mm.
Similar to my boy Arsenio Hall. Shout out to the old Arsenio Hall shows when he used to have the segment called Things That Make You Go, hmm.
I know that's right.
I love that segment, right? So it's really, to get people having conversations that they typically
Hmm.
don't have,
Hmm.
really to build self-awareness and have you take a step back and sort of think about
Yes.
what's happening. How many people really pay attention to what's happening in their body and what thoughts they have about certain things,
Yes.
and whether or not
See?
that's actually what's happening, or are you just reliving or potentially triggered about a past experience? So unresolved trauma is really, really, really big. Another really big one is a lack of emotional expression. Girl, all y'all emotionally unavailable folks out there, the people that don't know how to express their feelings, and it wasn't really encouraged in your family to talk about your feelings. No one asked you how you felt. You just said you were fine all the time, or you just were told to sort of like, don't cry, boys don't cry, cut those tears, you know, some of those very contradictory statements, like you're getting your butt beat and they're like, cut that crying before I give you something to cry about. Well, you just did. You just did. And then you're wondering why people out here numb.
Right.
And they don't really understand when they're hurt, when they're not hurt. And you know, and they're always
taught to ignore it.
Yeah, they're just always like ready to go off.
Petey pop off. Petey pop off.
It's like every little thing is just like,
yeah. Because it's all built up in the body, because that's where it's been stuffed at.
So a lack of emotional expressions. Families that discourage discussing feelings often produce individuals who struggle with emotional regulation and communication. So again, it's not a one size fit all, but it is something to consider. Is if you struggle with communicating your feelings, is it potentially something that you inherited and it was passed down in your family system? And how do you break it? So I'm bringing these things up, but how do you break it? And I think the first thing is self-awareness, right? Is being able to actually notice these things in yourself first and foremost, right? And be able to actually want to change it. I think that's the big thing. Is it has to be something you want to change and something that you don't like. Because if you think this is fine and it doesn't bother you, then more
no
than
motivation.
Likely, you're not going to do nothing about it.
Exactly.
Okay, this is a big one. Codependency and enmeshment. This is an over-reliance on family members for identity or emotional stability, and it can lead to difficulty in forming relationships and independent relationships. So all y'all super needy folks, codependent, you know, get nervous if your mate ain't texting you back. Yeah, I said ain't. I know I said ain't, y'all, because I know some of y'all, you know, are grammar police, right? But they're not texting you back. You gotta constantly be tracking. If your mate even takes a minute away from you or doesn't answer a phone call, you're wondering if they're cheating or if you're okay or if they still like you. Really, really anxious. And God forbid you ever been cheated on and you're like this, because it doesn't help you. It makes the situation worse.
Even listen.
Shout out to Miss Sandra Jackson. I see you, DJ Wade. Opal, I see you too. Thank y'all for tuning in. It is the season 7 premiere show of Conversations with Coach La. I've been gone for a minute, but now I'm back, you know. So 10 o'clock, y'all know where to be. Make sure y'all share this live. Make sure you let people know that the conversations have kicked back in. And this particular series, because I'm doing this new thing, right? It's going to start off really with breaking patterns, right? We're all going to be exposed to unpacking the past and healing from within. And, you know, tonight's episode is all about breaking barriers, healing, growth, and transformation. And we really got to start with, where did things come from? What is the root? What is the root of these feelings and emotions? Which most people, you know, I don't know if this happens to you. People come to therapy and they go, I don't want to talk about my childhood.
Oh my God.
About my parents. I didn't come here to talk about my mama. I didn't come here to talk about my family. I just want to talk about how I hate my boss. Okay. I want to talk about how I want to have a better marriage and how I think my husband is cheating, but I don't want to talk about my past. I want to talk about my family.
Okay.
But we always end up, somehow it always ends up coming up.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, remember that time? Well, this is the moment where, is it connecting? Oh, okay.
And that's really a lot of times therapy. We actively are listening to you
Mhm.
and repeating back what we heard you say for clarity. And it really is a sounding board
Mhm.
to help you with making connections and
Mhm.
identifying your patterns, the
Yes.
cycles that just go and go and go and go. And you wonder why you feel heavy. You wonder why you don't feel fulfilled in life. So a lot of times it's like, and this is springtime too, it's time to spring clean some stuff
Mm.
and let some things go, throw some things away.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yes, girl, and free yourself from some of this stuff that's not your stuff.
Mhm.
A lot of this stuff that you've inherited and you're
Mm.
carrying with you is not your stuff.
Mm-mm.
Check this out, people. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know that about 70% of US adults have experienced at least one traumatic event in their lifetime,
Mm, mm,
according to the National Council of Behavioral Health, right? This isn't a me and Contessa thing, right? This is a thing that is happening to a lot of people. Life
Mhm.
is lifing and things are happening. And for some particular reason, we think that we are not going to go through anything. Or why is this happening to me? Why not? Like life is not all of roses and good times, right? You're going to go through
Mhm.
stuff. So
Mm.
it's really important to know that. One other thing, individuals with unresolved trauma are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop anxiety,
Mhm.
depression, and post-traumatic
Mm.
stress disorder, aka PTSD.
Mhm.
So it's really important. It's really
Mhm.
important to do this work and to check in with yourself and to be aware because this stuff ain't playing around. It ain't
Yes.
playing around with us. And then
Yeah.
lastly, children who experience household dysfunction, abuse, neglect, substance use are at a higher risk of replicating those patterns in adulthood. Again, it doesn't mean you will, because a lot of people bounce back, are very resilient, never ever touch a drug, never ever drink, never ever put their hands on anybody, never abuse somebody. A lot of people do make different choices. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of people who pass this stuff on and continue these behaviors. And most times when you go and you look up their story and you start to dig in their past,
Mhm.
these things,
Those
you find
genograms.
it, right? That they have abuse, neglect, substance use that in their past. And then
Mhm.
they show up in the world causing all kind of ruckus and chaos
Mm,
in the
mm,
world.
mm, mm.
So it's just something to be mindful of. Again, this is not an excuse for
Mhm.
anyone's behavior, but it does allow us to develop empathy,
Mhm.
understanding, to extend grace
Yes.
and self-compassion to
That part.
others and ourselves.
Yes.
What do you think about all of that, Miss Contessa?
Absolutely, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, I see a lot of this in the work that we do, and it can be really difficult for some people to even want to admit the dysfunctions because they don't want to feel like they are disrespecting their family by highlighting, these traumas. But it's necessary to shed light on these. Usually, what I like to do is I like to do genograms in some of my work, so that way they can see it like out flat on the page. Like, my goodness, this has been passed from my great great parents to my grandparents to my parents to me to I see it among my siblings, and just it helps to really open eyes to what has been passed down generationally, emotionally, spiritually, epigenetically, like so much power in knowing the root of the history and past. So I definitely can like vouch for the work that we do, that we see this so often.
Once again, you guys are tuned into season 7 of Conversations with Coach Lai right here on the Urban Heat. We are the only Black-owned radio station on the iHeartRadio platform in Boston. So that is a huge, huge deal. And this is series part 1 of season 7. We're unpacking the past, we're healing from within. And
Mhm.
tonight's episode is all about breaking barriers, healing, growth, and transformation. And we're really, really honing in on generational dysfunction and
Mhm.
cycles that get passed
Mhm.
down between
Mhm.
our lovely and beautiful families again. So we also talk about something on this show You probably know about this, right? Bet on self moments.
Love this.
Yes. So we talk about bet on self moments, and those are those defining decisions. We've been talking about that so far, right?
Mhm.
Where you choose growth, healing, or change, even when it's uncomfortable.
Mm, mm, mm,
Right?
mhm.
And a lot of people don't understand what I mean by bet on self. And a lot of times, I think people think about selfishness, or you're not thinking about community or other people because you're saying bet on yourself. No, I truly believe, and thank you to my daddy, that when you believe in yourself, you ain't got no time to be hating on other people.
Come on.
You ain't got time to be jealous. I'm not saying that you can't see somebody and go, wow, they're doing really good. I really would like to do what they're doing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that sitting on your couch, strolling through social
Mhm.
media, and you really just annoyed and irritated with folks, and you don't realize it's because you don't feel like you could achieve those things. Or the things you want
Mhm.
to achieve, but you're too afraid to put yourself out there. So you
Mm,
project your fears and your insecurities onto other people
mhm.
as if they should be sitting down and being still and shouldn't be so loud, shouldn't be so ambitious, shouldn't be this,
Oh,
that, and the
oh.
third, because it's something you wouldn't do. So bet on self moments are those times where you decide to really put yourself out there and to do the things that will really bring you joy and make you feel good about yourself. So
Mhm.
tell me, can you share one of your moments?
Ah.
You had to trust yourself despite fear or doubt.
Mm. It would have to be the very beginning of my academic pursuit. Um, After the divorce, I was not doing well in my grades, and I always was a straight A student, right? Always was a straight A student.
Mm.
Um, but by the time, like, you know, middle school, I got right by the skin of my teeth. Got into high school, was not doing well at all. But then I got introduced to a program called Bridge to Success, which was a youth program that would bring you to different college campuses, namely being at Roger Williams University. And at first I was like, nah, I don't think I could. I couldn't imagine myself being in higher education because what was surrounding me, like you really didn't see that. But I was like, no, I'm gonna shape up and shape out. And that's around the time I emancipated myself when I was 17 and decided to really get things back in gear, get my like my studious student back on and studying. I'm like, you know what? I'm actually gonna apply for college. And I was excited that I did that because despite being in situations where I was kind of unhoused, um I didn't let those moments define my pursuit of going forward. And I was like, no, I have to just do this. So I'm so glad I took that one step because then that perpetuated, or not perpetuated, that propelled me into different arenas of the higher education, from undergrad to eventually grad school, and just like really just everything just started flowing once I got to see differently. Once my mindset had shifted, that I can actually do more than what my present situation is.
I think defining moment of, you mentioned being unhoused. You mentioned emancipating yourself at 17. You mentioned not seeing other people around you pursuing higher education and really having to step out on your own thought process, right? To
Yeah.
be able to say, you know what, I'm going to try something different, although I don't have a blueprint, I don't have a script, I don't have any, immediate people around me that have done what I've done, that are doing what I want to do. So I think that's really great because ultimately us doing that, us betting on ourselves actually creates the blueprint for someone else, because people see us and they have a blueprint that we didn't have. So I remind myself often when I get scared to do stuff, because I still get scared to do stuff. I still get nervous to do stuff. One, I got to think about, I've done hard things before.
Mm.
And then I think about, there's somebody later, I don't know if it's a family member or another young lady, another young man's going to see me or see this, and I might inspire someone else to realize that they can do it. And that helps me sort of like jump, go,
I
go,
love that.
go,
That
coach.
motivation. Yes. All eyes on me.
All eyes on me. Yes. So, is there any thoughts around what decisions helped you shift your life's direction? Like when you think about the decision to go back to school, it's not always so straightforward, right? Like, so when we're having this conversation, it seems so easy breezy, cover girl, right? But it's not that easy, right? Some of us overanalyze. Sometimes we like, it's like trying to jump in double dutch, right? And you keep on, they're like, come on, jump in. And you're like, no, I'm not going to be able to get in between the ropes. So what do you like? How do you do it? Because I think people that are listening really need to understand, like, what are the steps that you take that you can recall, and how do you still apply those steps now?
Yes. By the way, I hope I don't lose my black card, but I don't know how to double dutch.
I mean, I've tried. I'm not that good at it, but I've gotten in the rope and get it.
Lord Jesus. I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list to bet on myself with.
I cannot cornrow hair either.
Listen, me either.
Despite that being said, but anyway.
Confessions.
I can roller set some hair though. I can put some rollers in your hair and put you underneath to dry.
Come on. With that pivotal decision, I literally had to do what I needed to do. I had to get back to concentrating and studying, leave the boys alone, get rid of the distractions, if you know what I mean. I had to make sure that I linked up with, different professors and teachers that were within the high schools that can help to really vouch for my work. Because, man, when you, looking all the way from my freshman to junior year, and you saw nothing but D's and C's. Oh Lord, and a couple of F's. Lord Jesus. Oh Lord Jesus. I think at one point I had a 2.86 GPA at one point. I said, "Girl, what?" Oh, anyway, I had to just hunker down, and also I will say I did have a really good friend support too. I will say I had a really great friend support system for people that was able to help me to figure out how to fill out paperwork or navigate different bus systems. Like, because taking a bus, and I know like they got different transits in like Boston area, but down here we got RIPTA, and it's like some things don't coordinate the best. So trying to figure out what buses to take, really just really working and tapping into community resources as well. That's what steps I had to take in order to shift my mind, and take the steps that was necessary to get thwarted out of my situation at that time. Another great decision for me personally was when I gave my life to Christ. That wasn't until after or towards the end of graduating undergrad, that I decided to give my life to Christ, and I felt that opened up a whole new way of seeing myself as an individual and being worthy, and just knowing that there is a plan for my life above even what I thought there could be. So that was something that also had helped to shift spiritually, so that way it can manifest in the physical and mental for me. Those are definitely the biggest two ones that helped me.
So I'm hearing, one, make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got to make a decision on what you want, manifest it, and believe in that decision. Mm-hmm. Then I'm hearing support system. Your environment and who you hang around is so very important. And then lastly, I'm hearing spirituality.
Yes.
As being a really big thing in terms of making the shift.
Yes.
Right? If we had to, walk away with some tangibles, is one, what do you want? What do you want? Make that decision in your head first. And I know that's sometimes the scariest part, is to say out loud, but there is Habakkuk 2:14. Write it down, make it plain.
That's right.
You got to write it down and make it plain. A lot of times people don't want to journal, don't want to write things down, but I'm telling you, sitting down and taking a minute to write out everything that you truly want, as detailed as you can see it and visualize it, is the first step. Support system. Who do you have around you, right? You don't want to have a bunch of people who are just negative Nancy's, complaining Kathy's, and doubting Debbie's, just people that are constantly in a place of not believing that things are possible for them. Right? Because if you're around that kind of energy, you're going to end up, that's going to end up penetrating you after a while. You can't be around it all the time.
Exactly.
So you got to balance that out, right?
Yes.
Spirituality is important. And for those that, you don't always have to go the route of dedicating your life to Christ, but I think having a sense of spirituality is really important. Be you pray, be you meditate, because I know there's all different types of religious methodologies you can follow. So just having that grounding, because you're not the first person to say that in terms of success and in terms of being able to follow your dreams and your goals. Again, there's blueprints, y'all. If y'all really pick 4 or 5 people that you find successful, they probably will give a similar system, a similar blueprint, right? Make the decision, believe in yourself, your support system, who you're around, the environment that you're in is important. Change your scenery, change who you hang out with, get connected spiritually. Like, this is like, you hear it over and over and over and over again. You actually apply it. Do you apply it to what you're doing? All of this will help you bet on self. So we got like 4 minutes left to the show. I told you it goes by fast.
It does.
It goes by so very fast. In closing, for anyone who's listening who feels stuck in a generational cycle and they didn't ask for it, what advice would you give them about taking the first step towards that, making that change?
The first step is to be okay with being uncomfortable once you step out. Meaning that once you recognize this generational burden or curse that's on you, and you want to decide to make that change, prepare for the discomfort that may come with that. It's not always going to be easy, but preparing, and how do you prepare? Seeing what you are really okay risking and losing. Pros and cons of that.
Which is one of the biggest factors of why people stay stuck. I have a couple clients I'm working with right now, and that was the first thing we did, was the pros and cons analysis, and that they were not recognizing that they were also choosing the stuck piece because there were certain things that they weren't ready to let go of yet. There's certain things you're not ready to let go of yet. And once you identify what those things are, you'll realize that you're not really stuck. You're not really stuck. What's going on, friend? I see you out there. T, I see you. You ain't late to the party, girl. You right on time. You about to get y'all about to get Coach's Corner, which is my new thing that I'll be doing every week. Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna leave everyone every week with my final thoughts about the show and all that good stuff. So I'm excited about this. And I'm trying to time it, right? So I'm gonna knock it out right now. So breaking generational cycles isn't easy. It requires self-awareness, courage, and a willingness to unlearn before you can rebuild. Y'all heard me, right? But the beauty of healing is that when one person in your family decides to make that change, it creates a ripple effect, right? Like almost like a domino effect, right? Offering new possibilities, right? For those who come after them. So this is not just about you. This is about the people to come. And if you're carrying the weight of your past, I want you to remember that you are allowed to set it down. It's almost like Erykah Badu with the bag lady. Put the bags down, girl.
Let it go, let it go.
Carrying it, right? So you are allowed to sit it down, right? You're allowed to create a new path. And just like Contessa, because she bad girl, you can bet on self. And even when the road ahead feels uncertain. That concludes another episode of Conversations with Coach La La La. See y'all next week. We got Tony Rose coming on, and we're going to be talking about some more breaking of barriers and generational curses and all that good stuff. Y'all going to get this healing this season. Okay?
Period.
Peace. And remember to bet on self. I'll see y'all next week, 10 o'clock. Make sure you share the live. Tell everybody I'm back. Thank you, Contessa. You're so awesome. I appreciate you, girl.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful evening. And don't forget, please go and go give me some money. Help me raise this $25K in 30 days. I'm doing well, but I still need y'all's help. GoFundMe link is there. Please go and donate some money. I need 250 people to give me $100. And I say give me because you don't get it back, but you will see the impact in the community. So again, have a good night, everyone, and continue to bet on self.
Nancia, Smokehouse, it's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach La. Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Something on your mind, you can call him, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, always get a business to empower you, so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA, it's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La La La.